What is up, gamers? Enforcer 5150 here, and we are back to benchmark the HP OMEN 15. This time we are doing it on the RTX 2070, and we have a lot of things to go through. So let's go ahead, roll that intro, and get right to it. All right, so we're going to start this thing on 1080p, and I do have a few things to say about this HP OMEN. One, there is some problems that I have because this is the RTX 2070 with the Max Q, and there is some problems with that. But looking at each side here, we have the highest settings on the left, and we have the lowest settings for 1080p on the right. I'm sure I put up a marking for that, so I don't know why I have to tell you. But anyway, what we're seeing here is a good amount of FPS. We're getting plenty of what we need to get over the monitor's refresh rate. The refresh rate in this HP OMEN is 144 hertz. So we get over 144 hertz, we get as most that we can. But as someone actually pointed out, that getting more frames per second in CSGO is always beneficial. So you always want to get the most amount of FPS that you can, especially if you're into esports. If you're into esports and you are, actually, trying to, make a living off this, you're probably going to play it at the lowest possible settings and 720p. But now remember those smokes. We went to a 56 on the smokes and a 77 on the lowest with the smokes. Remember, those are stacked smokes. You're never going to run into that situation in an actual game, possibly in an esports game if the other team is really, really good and really know how to find exactly where you are. But if that was the case, they'd already kill you. But anyway, these are good results for the HP OMEN. But like I said, there is a few problems that I have with this. And we're going to go ahead and address those problems now before we get into the 720p benchmarks. Hey, sorry I have to make you wait for this, but I do need to mention this because I don't want you to just watch the first part here and then say, oh, I want to buy this laptop because it's amazing. Anyway, this is the Max Q version, and I'm going to show you a few things here that's going to be kind of strange to you, but it has to be said. It may be TDP, it may be that it's telling you or telling the computer that it doesn't need enough power, but as you notice with this is that you don't get the full frames per second. If you look, you get 885 megahertz. That's 885 megahertz of the power, and if you look at the percentage of the GPU that's being used, it's hardly being touched. The CPU hardly being touched. So how did I get this working? I'm going to tell you that it's not easy, and I'm going to do another video on this so that you can get it working, but it's not guaranteed, and that is the problem that I have with this laptop. Because every time that I would get it working, I would come back and then it wouldn't work again, and then I would do the same process to get it, get everything working, and I'd be right back to the 885 megahertz and only getting like 100 and 115 frames per second. So I'm going to put out another video hopefully this weekend sometime. I'll get it out right away so that you guys can watch this video and get to the other one, and kind of make a decision if you're deciding on buying this laptop. So let's go ahead and put that on the back burner for now. Like I said, I've been researching this for a while, so I didn't want to just put out the video and not mention it. So let's go ahead and get the 720p benchmarks up there. All right, so here we go. We are at 720p. And we have the highest settings on the left side and the lowest settings on the right. Now there is a small difference between the two, not a huge difference, but we have a decent amount of frames per second on both. Trying to stay over to 144 hertz is your preferred, obviously, but like I was saying before, always getting more is going to be better. I want to mention that because I always get it. Now, if you look on the right side, this is one thing I wanted to mention. Look on the right side, you see how the GPU is fluctuating and going down. It jumps down to like, 800 megahertz, and right now it's at 1000. And then now it's saying that it's not really important, not an important process. But as soon as you go through these smokes, it's starting to drop down, and it's saying it's important again. It goes up to 1770, and then it starts the taper again. So that's kind of the Max Q kind of doing its thing. It tries to keep it cooler. It tries to keep it cool as possible, and because it is thinner. So I don't like it because I don't like something deciding what megahertz that my GPU and hardware should do. But yeah, either way, once you get everything running on this laptop, I mean, this is great. I mean, in 720p, you're getting well over your monitor's refresh rate. If you have a 240 hertz, then you're kind of right at that edge, because you're going to be under what you want on a gaming laptop. All right, so I did a little bit of gameplay as well, and kind of just made a fool of myself, kind of trying to do some some gameplay. But I wanted to also show you guys, what kind of FPS that you'll see just in a live game instead of just a benchmark. Because obviously we're not going to be always in a benchmark situation, not a perfect situation by any means. So I just wanted to do some of give you guys a little bit of this gameplay that I was doing, so you can kind of see. By the end results, I got 160 frames per second for the lowest, and then I got an average of 275 frames per second, and that's with the low settings in 1080p. So that is plenty good for me. If you're on a professional circuit, obviously, you're not going to take this gaming laptop to any major LAN parties. You're going to want a desktop computer, but if you are on the road or anything like that, then you definitely will be able to benefit from something like this. And I only say that because I want you to know that this is not a desktop replacement. If you want to get to a desktop replacement, you are going to spend a lot more money for your gaming laptop. You're going to be well over the 3K mark, 4K. I think the main one is like 5,500. I can't remember the exact name of it right offhand, but yeah, it is a beast. It has massive cooling. It's basically just a desktop that is in your laptop. So when you're thinking of gaming like this, it's something for the average gamer, maybe hardcore gamer, but still you're not going to, like I said, LAN parties, and you're taking this thing as your primary esports machine. But it definitely can produce a lot of good FPS for major gamers. So all in all, in CSGO, we can definitely get a good amount of FPS in the game. One thing I do want to mention, though, because in case you're not just a CSGO player and you play other games as well, the problem that I have with the Max Q doesn't always happen in each game. And I want to mention this because in DirectX 12 or DirectX 11, you don't have that problem at all. It does, still control, how it, distributes the, heat and power for each, component, the CPU versus the GPU. But you don't get that 885 megahertz problem. It's always at its boost, full boost. And you're not worrying about, getting half the FPS like I do with CSGO. And I kind of checked this again with Battlefield 2. I just downloaded it, played it a little bit, played the offline stuff, because I used to love this game, dude. I loved it. But I noticed in there that, you only get the 885 megahertz. And then I tried, a newer game like Modern Warfare, and I played a couple different games that are DirectX 11, DirectX 12, and we didn't have that problem at all. Especially when you have certain features like the RTX features. So anyway, it is way better than the other laptop, which is the 1060, the GTX 1060. So if you're deciding that upgrade, this is definitely, in my opinion, worth a large upgrade, because I think the price range between the two isn't that much. Going for a higher end GPU, definitely worth it. Anyway, seeing that I don't get any money from this video or any of my other videos, always check everything in the description to see what I have available. Everything that I put on my videos, I put links for Amazon or other places that you can help support this channel. For one, I want to put a big emphasis on the SSD enclosure. This thing was amazing. It's only 40 bucks. I definitely suggest getting one because putting an SSD into this, external enclosure has helped me out so much. I've been able to go between one computer to another, one laptop to another, take my games from one lap to another, or take it from my laptop to my main computer without having to mess stuff. The transfer speed is slower, but you're always going to have that with an external drive, especially when you're dealing with an SSD. But you do still get the speed of, like an serial ATA SSD. Check out my video for that, and I definitely want to say thank you everybody for watching today. Make sure you hit that like button, definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. You all take care and happy gaming.